Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why are Kuki-Zo communities of the state of Manipur demanding a separate union territory. Now, the reason why we have picked up this topic for our today's discussion is quite simple. As you can understand, the Manipur's Kuki-Zo community, they are involved in an ethnic conflict, not just with Meiteis, but with Nagas as well. And as a result, their representative body, Kuki-Zo Council, have written a letter to the Prime Minister where they have highlighted that due to this ethnic conflict, there has been a fractured relationship between the communities. And this is why it has become unavoidably necessary to raise a demand of getting a separate union territory for those areas where Kuki-Zo communities are living in majority. So in our today's video, we'll try to understand what is this larger ethnic conflict that is going on in the state of Manipur, which is primarily between Meiteis as well as the hill tribes. But now this binary conflict, as the common understanding goes by, has become into a three-pronged conflict. On one hand, there are Meitei communities, they were already involved in conflict with Kuki-Zo. Now an added dimension has been added that Nagas have also gotten into conflict with Kuki-Zo communities. So how this conflict can be resolved? What are the demands here that Kuki-Zo communities have raised? This is what we are going to understand today. And the notes which I will be using while making you understand all of this, you can also download them by going to the Telegram channel called as ATS Live. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, so let us start our today's discussion by understanding what is happening in the state of Manipur. Now, since 3 years now, since May 2023, the Manipur state has been under the garb of an ethnic conflict, which is happening primarily between valley inhabiting Meitei communities and the hill tribes like Kuki-Zo Hamar communities. And this conflict has resulted into mass displacement where people were forced to leave their houses and they are forced to live now in refugee settlements. And it has also deepened the social and physical divide that already existed in the state. Now, because of this conflict, one of the consequences has become that the movement of communities into the areas where other communities live have become largely restricted, and this has in a way disturbed the harmony that existed in Manipur before 2023. Now, what you have to understand here is that Meitei communities numerically are the largest community in Manipur, and they primarily live in the state central valley in and around the capital's Imphal region. Now, this valley region is surrounded by all sides through hills, and in these hills live communities belonging to tribal communities. Primarily can be divided them into Naga as well as Kuki-Zo communities, right? So primarily this conflict was happening between Meiteis who live in valley versus the hill tribes like Nagas and Kuki-Zo communities. But what is now happening is that there has been a flaring up of tension even within the hill communities like the Nagas and Kuki-Zo communities. And this new added dimension has now escalated and opened up new set of divides in already disturbed state of Manipur. Let me give you an example what is happening. Now, the tensions between Naga and Kuki-Zo communities actually emerged few months back where the Tangul Naga majority areas in the Ukhrul district of Manipur. And now this tension has flared up so much so that it has also increased tensions between these two communities in the neighboring Kangpokpi district where Kuki-Zo communities are in majority and the Senapati districts where the Naga are in majority. So now this conflict between Nagas and Kuki-Zos, which started from Ukhrul, have now enlarged to even include Kangpokpi and Senapati districts. Now, what has happened because of this conflict, that the people particularly belonging to Kuki-Zo communities who are residing in Kangpokpi districts, they are facing extreme restrictions when it comes to moving around in an area outside Kangpokpi district. So the civilians belonging to Kuki-Zo communities, they are unable to travel safely outside their areas, even at the case when they face medical emergencies or other urgent situations. And as a result, the Kuki-Zo Council, which is a representative body of Kuki-Zo communities, they have written to the Prime Minister requesting his intervention. How can Prime Minister intervene here? According to the Kuki-Zo Council, they are facing restrictions on their movement. So the Prime Minister can provide them with helicopter services which would allow their areas of Kangpokpi to be connected to other areas in Manipur as well as Assam, like Churachandpur and More, which is in Manipur, as well as Silchar, which is in Assam. Now, according to Kuki-Zo Council, such a community connectivity measures by helicopter services would provide them with much needed humanitarian relief. It would also provide them with access to healthcare services, essential travel, as well as evacuations in cases of medical emergencies. So this is what the Kuki communities have asked the Prime Minister to intervene in order to provide them with certain helicopter services. In addition to that, the Kuki-Zo Council have also requested for deployment of security forces in and around the sensitive boundary areas and buffer zones. Where sensitive boundary areas and buffer zones? Now you need to understand, since 2023 conflict between Meiteis and hill tribes, the government has deployed security forces in buffer zones and boundary areas which separate the warring communities so that these communities don't clash with each other. Now the Kuki-Zo communities are demanding the same kind of measures even in those areas which separate Naga areas with respect to Kuki-Zo areas, right? So this kind of an intervention, if it comes from the government side, would help cool down the tensions. Similarly, the Kuki-Zo communities have also sought that exam centers for Kuki-Zo students can be set up in those areas where Kuki-Zo communities are in majority, like Churachandpur as well as Kangpokpi district. So these are the sum total of measures that have been asked by the Kuki-Zo Council on behalf of Kuki-Zo communities to the Prime Minister. But the most important intervention that they require is what is I'm going to explain you now. Now you need to understand this continuing conflict that is going on in the Manipur has severely strained the relations between various communities who inhabit Manipur, like Meiteis, Nagas and Kuki-Zo communities. Because of this conflict, there has been a prolonged violence. It has resulted into death of people belonging to these communities. It has displaced them away from their houses, and it has also led to large scale destructions of public property. And because of this ongoing conflict, it has deepened mistrust and it has created a profound social and political divisions. Now, there already existed a divide in the state of Manipur, and this divide has been aggravated because of this prolonged ethnic conflict. And as a result, the Kuki-Zo community faces or it feels that as they are surrounded by all sides from Meitei communities and Naga communities, and that is why they face existential crisis, they face existential threats which has affected their security, survival, as well as the possibility of a political future and representation in the state of Manipur. So therefore, these communities in this climate feel that the possibility of peaceful coexistence under the existing administrative structure of the state, which is dominated by Meiteis because they are in numerical majority, has become increasingly challenging. And against this backdrop, the Kuki-Zo communities have constantly argued that for durable and peaceful resolutions to the Manipur conflict, you need to put these warring communities, Meiteis, Nagas and Kukis, under three separate major administrations. So this is what this community wanted. Now for Kuki-Zo community, how this separate administration would pan out, let us understand this. Now consequently, many of the communities, especially the Kuki-Zo communities, they view the separation from a present administrative structure is not just a political preference, rather it has become an unavoidable necessity. So Kuki-Zo communities highlight that our demand for a separate administrative structure is not something we want, it is something that we need. Why do they need it? Because they are facing existential crisis. So in line with this position, the Kuki-Zo Council have asked the central government, and they've highlighted their long-standing demand that they need a separate union territory with a legislature, and it should include all those areas where Kuki-Zo communities are in majority, right? And how would this be implemented? Because according to the Kuki-Zo communities, the present conflict has fundamentally altered the inter-community relationship. It has aggravated the divide, it has resulted into deaths of many people, and more importantly, it has exposed deep fault lines that already existed in the state. And new recent escalations of violence that has happened between Naga communities and Kuki communities have made this demand a very emergent demand, more urgent than ever, because it has led to new emergence of new social and territorial divisions, which many Kuki-Zo communities feel that Nagas and Meiteis are in cohorts with each other against the Kuki-Zo communities. Now, what is this recent escalation of violence that has, you can say, negatively impacted the relations between Kuki-Zo and Nagas? Let us understand this. Now, what happened recently in last week only, 3 church leaders who were traveling from Churachandpur to Kangpokpi, their vehicles were ambushed and it resulted into death of 3 pastors. Now, the Kuki groups have alleged that the Naga groups were behind this violence, and this spiraled into a hostage crisis where members of one community abducted people from other community, and this was done by both Kuki-Zo communities as well as Naga communities. Although after many negotiations, this abduction like and hostage like crisis have been reduced, as both of the sides later on agreed to release as many as 14 hostages each, but still Naga communities continue to hold 6 people from Kuki-Zo communities captive, and they say that 6 individuals who were abducted by Kuki-Zo groups, they have been missing. So this tension is ongoing, and this tension has led to negatively impacting of the relations that already existed between Kukis, Nagas as well as the Meitei communities. And according to Kuki-Zo Council, there is an immediate necessity for Kuki-Zos to be put under separate administrative structure. What is this separate administrative structure I'm talking about? It is a need for creation of a new union territory with legislatures, and this would include all those areas where Kuki-Zo communities are in majority. But what about other tribes who are living in those areas in minority? What about them? That question still has not been resolved. So going forward, if any development happens on this issue, I will do a separate video. And what do you feel about this issue? If you're belonging to one of these 3 communities if I've talked about, please let me know of your opinion in the comment sections without any prejudice. Please be very civil about it. And before we solve a question that can be asked in UPSC based on the kind of discussions that we had right now, there's an important announcement. Right now, we are taking admissions to resolution batches. So students from Northeast who are looking to prepare for UPSC, you need to understand, to change the system, you need to first become the part of the system. And how can you become the part of the system? By joining civil services. And we here at StudyIQ would want to help you solve the problems in your state by becoming the part of bureaucracy through getting into UPSC. So to take admissions in resolution batches, go to our website. Before making the payment, if you apply the code ATS Live, you're gonna get maximum discounts. And these batches are offered separately for students who are looking to prepare for 2027 as well as 2028. One thing is similar between both of them. If you take admissions using the code ATS Live, you're gonna get maximum discounts. Now, this is the question that I want you to solve. I have enumerated 5 states of Northeast India. Please let me know, out of these 5 states, how many of them share their boundaries with Myanmar. Okay, so do let me know the correct answers in the comment section. And the ones who are waiting to download the notes, please go to the Telegram channel called as ATS Live. So this is all from my side for today. Please have a very good day. We'll see each other again tomorrow.